So I decided that I'm going to give you a part 2 of the commute, because I've never uploaded a 30-minute video before, and this is definitely going to take about another 15 minutes to get home. And let me tell you something, because I missed a few points when I went over the footage, and I realized that I had more than I wanted to share. Plus, it's more for you to watch. I mean, if I'm only going to do a motovlog a week, might as well make it banging, right? So yeah, more pretty much raw film, I guess, of me going home to finalize, you know, my thoughts on the CB500F. You know, talk about more who it's for, why you'd want to get it. Oh. And whatnot. Hell, I might just let you watch, because I got no reason to really talk. I mean, I said all my talking points in the beginning, but I just need to recall what I was going to say, because I had about 5 different things on my mind earlier. And of course, I can't recall them now, but they'll come to me, I'm sure. Oh, there's a cop up there. What's he doing? Yeah. I don't know what that cop's doing. Just giving a little revs, that way when I put in first gear, it's not so clunky. Little cheater trick, if you guys didn't know that. Give it to me. So who's this bike for? And, you know, why is this bike my favorite bike? Well, oh god, big old mosquito just decided to land right in front of my visor. Not cool, man. Not cool. Big fat splat, too. Oh, man. But something I really love about this bike, this actually weighs, stock for stock, only about, maybe 15 pounds lighter. Not sure. 10 pounds lighter than the CBR954. I gotta look it up when I get home, but it's not really that much heavier than a I mean, it's not that much lighter than the CBR954, which only goes to show, you know, how stupid ridiculous it is that the CBR954 is so light. But when you sit on these bikes, the weight distribution is totally different. When I sat on this bike at the dealer, on this bike on the dealer, and I was sitting on the CB500F and the CB650F, even though the 650F is only like 15-20 pounds lighter, when you rock it side to side, not like this, not like rocking it, but like when you're sitting, you know, when you're just sitting on the showroom floor and you're leaning it left and right, the CB500F literally felt like a bag of pillows between my legs. And I'm trying to wonder, I'm like, why does it feel so good? Maybe it's a combination of it only having 2 cylinders, so it's not as wide as the CB650F, or not as wide as the CBR954. But another thing I realized is that all the weight, which is what makes this bike such a good beginner and kind of intermediate bike, all the weight is down low. And that's the true difference between this and like a CBR954. It's the weight distribution. Is the weight distribution. And that's what makes this bike, yo, I see something crawling on my helmet. I just got it. Just got it, yeah. But the weight, like when you're sitting here and you're bringing it over, it's just, oh, I can't describe it, but you got to go sit on one at the dealership. I mean, that is what made me so crazy over this bike. That's why I considered getting it, even though I went for the CB650F. I was like, oh man, I mean, if it feels this good just sitting on it, I cannot imagine what it's like, you know, going around town, going to work. Whew. It's amazing. So this bike definitely wins, and I mean, I don't really know if it's, you know, the lightest thing in its class. Of course, a Ninja 400 is probably going to be lighter, or an R3. And to be honest, an R3, you can probably have the same amount of top speed on an R3. The catch is that you have to get that at a higher, I think the R3 revs up to like 10 or 1100 RPMs, 1000 or 1100, I'm not sure. And it still gets up to 110, so you can say, you know, the R3 is just as fast as the 500, which doesn't make sense. But that's just because of the way the 500 is tuned. But you'll get a lot of power down low, and you won't get that low end grunt on an R3. And that's the difference between a bike like this and a bike like an R3 or a 400, is that on those kind of bikes, you have to work a little harder to get the same torque figures, if that makes sense. And that's a plus that this bike has, is even though I've only had this bike for 5,000 miles now, I've only had this bike for 2 months. So I've been putting about, you know, 2,000 miles a month, I think, on this bike. I have to go back and see when I bought this thing. But I haven't had this for very long. I mean, I've been spending a lot of these miles I've been racking up. I'd say about half of it is highway miles, or more like 70%. But I won't be surprised if later down the road, you know, that I won't have to really do much maintenance-wise to this bike. I'm one to always stay on top of my vehicles, because, you know, that's just how I am. You know, I stay on top of my oil changes. I make sure I follow the book when it comes to, you know, checking fluids or just maintaining another big old splat. Wow. You know, just maintaining your vehicle. I'm talking about a mosquito, sorry. And so I'm not going to be surprised if this 500, it's not going to require much down the road, because it only revs out at, what, 8,650 RPMs, red line, I think. Again, I have to double check, because, you know, I'm just not used to these numbers yet. But considering that means you won't be stressing the engine as hard as an R3, and so this bike gives you a lot of value down the road. And I know this bike is going to give you a lot of value down the road. So that's a plus. So honestly, I used to go crazy, you know, wondering what's my first bike gonna be, or, you know, what am I gonna do? You know, my first bike has to be perfect, and I was actually looking for a 600 for my first bike. I couldn't find any that were good deals, so I just went ahead and I saw the 954. I was like, oh, I never heard of a 954. I went and grabbed it. And you know, when you get your first bike, you learn what you really want and what you don't. And I realized, okay, now that I have this really nice bike for the highway and stuff, I kind of want something I can just have fun on, not really worry about too much, and something that, you know, I can take around town more. Because even though, you know, the 954 is rideable, you kind of have to, you know, it's like all liter bikes. You kind of have to putter around in third gear, and it's not fun, you know, not exercising the entire power band of your motorcycle. So I already knew, I was like, I want it to be a naked bike for sure, because I don't want another bike with fairings that I have to keep taking off for oil change and stuff. And I want this bike to be fun. So I was like, I want this to be a mid-tier, probably a parallel twin. I really wanted a triple, like the FC09 or something, but, you know, couldn't find anything. So I saw this Honda, that's why I saw the 650F. I was like, I was kind of on the fence, because it's like, just another 4-cylinder, you know, valve clearances are going to be a pain in the butt, they're going to be expensive. And, you know, I'm aware that 4-cylinders by nature just don't have a lot of power down low in comparison to their counterpart brethren. So when I saw the 500, I was like, oh, very nice. I really cannot concentrate when I'm accelerating. So yeah, so this bike meets a lot of the things that I was actually looking for. But I would have never learned that, I guess, if I didn't have the 954. I always scare the birds for some reason. They fly away when they see me coming. They're like, no! So if you're looking for something that you can just kind of take around town and have fun with, believe me when I say this is going to be plenty for your first bike. And you may come to enjoy it later. Because at first, you know, the power really... Sorry, I just flew my mouth. You know, I was like, oh man, you know, this is just... doesn't have a lot of juice in the tank, you know, and I'm just used to having something that's more. But over time, this has grown on me. This bike is very charming. I mean, look. So fourth gear can get to 90 miles an hour. It can't get to 90 miles an hour. I obviously stopped before then, but I still had some revs left. But it's like, you saw that, you know, fourth gear, and I barely making 90 miles an hour. So I mean, that's just asking for fun on the highway. Third gear, I don't know what it was in the clip, but as you can see, you know, third gear is what is it? Basically like 65 miles an hour. So you can really ring this bike out a little bit and not get in too much legal trouble. Of course, this is speed limit 45, so I definitely broke a law, in theory. We're nice Mexico road out here, you know. But it's a bike like this, like, even if I just maxed out second gear on my 954, I'd definitely be looking at, like, maybe 110 miles an hour. And you just can't do anything with that. And then second gear on top of that is just super torquey. So it's hard to have fun, you know, in the city streets without always scanning for cops. And that's why I was kind of like, maybe a 650 4-cylinder is going to be too much, because I know this thing's going to be banging through these gears. But this bike is just, I mean, I'll say it, I've said it plenty times in this video, this bike, it does a lot of good things. It doesn't necessarily do it the best when you compare it to everything else, but it does so many things so well that it's hard not to appreciate it. You know, it's very, if it's legal for you, this is very nice, comfortable bike to lane split on, to filter on, to get through tight obstacles. It's flickable. Sometimes I'll take it, you know, in the grass just for fun. It's torquey, it's down low, it's perfect for the street. It's good enough for the highway. I say good enough because, as I said before, you know, it maxes out at 110, and after 90 miles an hour, you know, there's not much juice left in the tank, so it'll probably take you a good 10-15 seconds to get to 110, depending on how, you know, how rude the wind is to you. But what can I say? It's a Honda. They build incredible motorcycles. I love it. So. Auto. I think that's my neighbor. I just want to say hi. Ah. I wasn't sure if that was you. I saw you, I was like, is that an R on the back of that Civic? So I was like, wait, he's getting away.
Yeah, I wouldn't go away very far though.
You wanted me to chase you?
I saw you coming down the street. I'm like, oh, I'll just take off, see if he comes down.
Oh yeah. I was like, is that my neighbor? I gotta find out. That's a bad car, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
I just wanted to say hi, that was all. You too. You want to see what I do? Go on YouTube.
Oh, yeah?
The Magic Jellybean.
What is it?
The Magic Jellybean.
Okay.
But yeah, that concludes this episode, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, do all that cool stuff. And make sure you hit the notification bell because that's what the cool kids do.